Here's a statistic that, unless you're familiar with how things work in the third world, probably comes as something of a surprise. It turns out that as of 2020, roughly 1/3 of all pilots in Pakistan have fake licenses. They didn't pass any of the required proficiency tests. More than 260 of the 860 pilots working for Pakistan's domestic airlines, according to the government, did not take the exam themselves. They paid someone else to do it for them, when in fact they had little or no flying experience. And Pakistan finally realized the extent of this fraud only after a plane crash in Karachi that killed nearly 100 people. The pilots in that crash made about a dozen mistakes, like forgetting to drop the landing gear, just as one example. And it took a catastrophe of historic proportions for Pakistan to realize that their system was hopelessly broken. As a result, for years, Americans have been able to look at countries like Pakistan with a sense of pity, if not morbid amusement. We say, look at those people who can't even make sure their pilots can fly planes. And then we congratulate ourselves for living in a country where something like that would be unthinkable. After all, in the U.S., we have rigorous standards. We would not allow people who are complete frauds to handle critical jobs in the aviation industry, jobs that, if they're done poorly, can cause mass casualties. And that was true, of course, right up until the Obama administration. As we've covered, around 2012, standards for air traffic controllers began to plummet. The Obama administration effectively replaced a rigorous aptitude test, one that asked difficult logic questions, with a much more straightforward biographical questionnaire. And this biographical test was more heavily weighted than any other part of the application process. In this questionnaire, applicants were asked, for example, whether they needed a great deal of time to complete assignments, or whether they take chances very often. And also asked, for some reason, how many sports they played in high school. And believe it or not, applicants got top marks if they said that they take chances a lot and take a long time to complete assignments and played more than 3 sports in high school. In other words, yes, the Obama administration deliberately sought out air traffic controllers who are risk takers and who are procrastinators as long as they can play basketball. Now, we've discussed this biographical questionnaire before in the context of a lawsuit that was filed by white air traffic controllers who determined correctly that the point of this test was to discriminate against them. Not much of a stretch, since Obama had already admitted as much. What we didn't have until this week is the full picture of just how corrupt this application process was. So about a decade ago, Fox Business reported that a senior FAA official, who also served as a member of an industry group called the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees, had tipped off some non-white applicants about the best way to answer the questions for the FAA's test for air traffic controllers. Fox obtained some of this communications at the time, but now, courtesy of the Daily Mail, we have a full unredacted voicemail sent by that FAA official, whose name is Shelton Snow, to potential air traffic control applicants. And I want you to listen as Snow tells his, quote, brothers and sisters that he's about to send them an email giving them the answers to the FAA's test. Listen.
Washington Suburban Associate members, brothers and sisters, listen. It's been a really busy time for me these past 4 days. I know that each of you are eager, very eager, to apply for this job vacancy announcement. And trust, after tonight, you will be able to do so. I am asking that you give me another 15 or 16 hours. Allow me to go to work and come home, provide you with an email that will be extremely crucial in the opening stages of this hiring process. There are some valuable pieces of information that I have taken a screenshot of, and I'm going to send that to you via email. Trust and believe it will be something that you will appreciate to the utmost. Keep in mind, we are trying to maximize your opportunities, and I'm doing the very best that I can with the time that I'm given. Today, when I get off at 11 o'clock, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out that email. I'm going to send it to each of you, and as you progress through the stages, refer to those images so that you will know which icons you should select.
Now, before I play the rest of this voicemail, it's worth pointing out that Snow is still employed by the FAA as a supervisor. He's apparently handling air traffic operations in New York, making over $160,000 a year. This is despite the fact that he left a trove of voicemails and text messages and emails documenting his efforts to help non-white applicants cheat in the hiring process at the FAA. The Department of Transportation actually investigated him back in 2016 when people started complaining about what Snow was doing. There were several applicants who, to their credit, refused the opportunity to cheat, even though it cost them the job. But the FAA didn't get rid of Snow or punish him in any way. Are you looking to deepen your faith this Lenten season? Well, now's the time to join Hallow's Lent Pray 40 Challenge, The Way. This 40-day journey leading up to Easter is all about growing closer to God through prayer, fasting, and reflection, and Hallow is making it easier than ever to stay committed. Imagine starting your day with Mark Wahlberg and Chris Pratt guiding you through meaningful sacrifices that strengthen your spirit. Then let Jonathan Rumi and Sister Miriam James lead you through powerful prayers and inspiring stories of faith. Don't miss Father Mike Schmidt's thought-provoking Sunday homilies that will keep you focused on how Jesus is truly the way to heaven. The beauty of this journey, yes, it includes sacrifice, but that sacrifice leads to incredible peace, joy, healing, and love. You're not going to be alone either. Thousands around the world are already praying together in what's becoming Hallow's biggest Lent ever. If you're ready to join them, you can get 3 months free when you sign up at hallow.com/Matt Walsh. That covers your entire Lenten season and beyond. Once you download the Hallow app, you'll unlock thousands of guided prayers, meditations, and spiritual music, all designed to help you find peace and grow closer to God. Don't wait, download Hallow and jump into the Lent Pray 40 Challenge today. Quoting from the Inspector General's report, which was obtained by the researcher Trace Woodgrains, quote, during an interview with the Office of Inspector General, Snow did not initially acknowledge his participation in the teleconference. However, after being shown the text message string and consulting with his counsel, Snow recalled organizing the teleconference. Snow acknowledged that he explained to each person how they should answer, close quote. So he goes from having no idea about this whole scheme to admitting that he's running it, and no one ever hauled him to prison for lying to federal investigators because, of course, the federal government was on his side. Here's just a couple of relevant text messages that Snow was sending as documented by the Inspector General. And as you can see, he's complaining that some people are advertising his services outside of racially segregated groups that he'd prefer to run. And these are texts that apparently Snow completely forgot he sent. But he later admitted to investigators, as if there was any doubt, that his intent was to benefit certain racial groups. Here's how he phrased it, quote, our organization wasn't for Caucasians. It wasn't for, the white male. It wasn't for an alien on Mars, So he's definitely not trying to help the white male, who he compares to aliens from Mars. But let's play the rest of his voicemail to the members of his race collective. Listen.
I have a good mind to send it to one of my HR representatives first and give them the opportunity to sign off on it before you actually click it. But in the sake of time, I'm going to send it directly to you because I'm about 99.99% sure that it's exactly how you need to answer each question in order to get through the first phase. Stand by to stand by. Later on this evening, when I get home, I'm going to finish those emails, and then I'm going to go back to planning for the Black History Month program.
Great. So after he's done planning for Black History Month, he's going to get right back to helping applicants cheat on the air traffic control test as long as they aren't white males. At no point in this voicemail does Snow explain why exactly it's necessary to help certain demographics pass this test, nor does he indicate at any point a degree of concern for the safety of people flying on planes throughout the country. Instead, it's just assumed that he's looking out for his own racial demographic. And just assume that they won't be able to pass the test without his help, which is probably a safe assumption since the test by design is completely arbitrary. Of course, the whole reason that the Obama administration made the application process arbitrary is that it's easier to cheat on an arbitrary test. And here's why. Let's assume that the FAA only takes the highest scoring applicants. Now, if you make the test too easy, then everyone, including the white applicants, will get the questions right. Even if you cheat on it as a non-white applicant, you're just breaking even with all the white guys. But if the test questions are essentially random, if the scoring system is arbitrary and basically subjective, then everyone's going to do poorly on it, except the people with inside information. And that's the whole point of the fraud. And this fraud didn't just affect the biographical questionnaire, it also affected the resume screening portion of the application process. Take a look at this email that Shelton sent to his brothers and sisters. He says, quote, FAA Human Resources will scan in resumes and the computers will group resumes based on keywords. These buzzwords will flag your resume, thereby giving you the advantage over thousands of resumes that may flood the system. A list of these buzzwords are attached to this email. The list is being provided to you through one of our members in HR. Then he adds, quote, I encourage you to keep a lid on this attachment and focus on your resume. If the entire country caught wind of this attachment, then how will your resume be distinguished from the others? Please keep this email confidential between yourselves and the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. And just in case this wasn't explicit enough, this group put out a bunch of documents like this. Here's another one. It reads, "We are only concerned about African Americans, women of every ethnic background, and other minorities. Please ensure that you share this information with no one identified outside of that. This information is reserved for those classes of people we represent. This is to minimize competition." Like, explicitly saying, we are trying to discriminate against white males. Because that's the only group, by the way, that's not in there. Do not help white males. This is specifically designed to discriminate against them. Just announcing it for the whole world. What's remarkable about this, aside from the brazen anti-white racial discrimination, the ethnic warfare, the complete disregard for public safety, is that to this day, we still don't have any accounting of the damage that's been done. As the Daily Mail reports, quote, "Exactly how many applicants were able to capitalize on Snow's brazen offer to secure coveted controller jobs responsible for the safety of millions of flyers remains a mystery. But one former National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees member, Matthew Douglas, told DailyMail.com, "I know several people who cheated, and I know several people who are controlling planes as we speak." Now, that's a sobering statement, especially as it comes just weeks after one of the deadliest mid-air collisions in American history. In many cases, competent air traffic controllers are the only thing preventing these kinds of collisions from happening. Consider this incident from just over a week ago at Phoenix Airport. This didn't get much attention, but it's genuinely amazing footage. A Southwest Airlines plane flies directly towards an American Airlines jet on a collision course. And as controllers try to redirect the Southwest plane, they get no response because the Southwest plane is on the wrong frequency. Watch.
2790, the 73 after left in sight. American Star Southwest 3606, turn left immediately, heading 280. American 2790, cancel approach, runners turn right, heading 360. Traffic alert, traffic off to your left, north, 73 at 4000. Charlie traffic order arrival at 3000 for American at 2239. 3606, turn left immediately, heading 240, traffic alert, 1 o'clock, 1 mile, turning northbound, 4000, American Airbus 321.
Southwest 3606, Phoenix Air.
American 2079, climb, maintain 5000 immediately, turn right, heading 360.
And approach, tower, Southwest 3606, can I get a frequency for approach?
3606.
Southwest 3606, you're not able to reach him on 19.2?
I'll switch.
Now, in this case, the controllers reacted quickly. After the Southwest jet stopped responding, they told the American Airlines plane to abort its landing and pull up. Almost certainly, the controllers in the tower saved a lot of lives. If they hadn't been competent, if they'd cheated on their entrance exams, then the outcome could have been very different. And very soon, we'll probably see an outcome like that. That's because close calls like this happen on average every week, if not more often. And the voicemail that the Daily Mail just unearthed is obviously just the tip of the iceberg. The DEI scam was running in the airline industry for years before there was any serious pushback. And even now, many of these people are still working at the FAA, which needs to change and needs to change immediately. Retest all the controllers, if necessary. Review how every controller was hired, which is something that the White House has already suggested is in progress. And at a minimum, get rid of the ringleaders of this cheating ring who are somehow still working in the industry. Those are the tangible, productive steps we can take. We can either get them done now, or we can take them after yet another aviation disaster happens. Either way, it's clear that unless we want to end up with an aviation system on par with Pakistan's, these are the steps that we need to take as quickly as possible before many more people lose their lives. And that is why DEI in the airline industry is, once again, today, canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.